Jon Marro, artist, was born and raised in Rutland. He went to art school, the Maryland Institute College of Art in Baltimore. He has been working as an artist and a freelance graphic designer for 15 years. And he has released his first book, and it has to do with following your creativity. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you.
Jon, why don't you start out just briefly talking about when you started to be interested in working in art, and then how your life unfolded.
Wonderful. Well, you had me. You were my elementary school art school teacher. I still remember your rainbow smock vividly.
Yes, that's what everybody remembers.
So I remember that, and I remember when you married Art and how ironically beautiful that was.
Yes, it is.
And yeah, I think I realized I was an artist when my parents took me aside. They had Mrs. Fusco was her name. Mm-hmm. She actually took them aside and said, "I think we have an artist on our hands because."
Did she really?
Yeah, she
kindergarten teacher.
First grade.
First grade. Okay,
First
that's
grade.
right. Yeah.
And she told them that most kids at this age are drawing stick figures, and he's rendering facial expressions and embroidery on clothes. So he's got attention to detail. And so I really, art was a way, and it's always been for me, as a way to activate my imagination, and as a way, as I grew older, to heal things. When my parents got divorced, or if I've gone through a breakup, or something big in the world is going on, it's a way for my soul or my subconscious to process it and make something more beautiful of it. So I've been an artist my whole life, and I then had you again in high school. I had Jeannie Podolak. I did some private.
Jeannie was wonderful.
Jeannie was wonderful and really brought out my sense of color and nature, and I was able to put a portfolio together and apply to art school, and I got in. And I went to the Maryland Institute College of Art in Baltimore. And going to art school was an incredible experience.
I bet.
It's the thing that I loved most about it was they were kids from all races, religions, backgrounds, cities, diversities, but we all had art in common, and so there was this mutual underlying respect that it was like a secret language or a code that we all spoke and understood.
That's good. And
to be able to be in it felt like a womb, like a womb of concentration to hone your craft and really, prime yourself for the career of being an artist.
So you're talking as if this was a good school.
Yeah, I loved it. I actually just 2 days ago, I've been doing a little East Coast tour, and I saw my art school teacher from there, this woman, Susan Waters-Eller, and she taught this class called Drawing Illusionism, which was similar to MC Escher, where through trompe-l'oeil or through different techniques you could make things look 3D or illusionistic, and how she really taught the science of how the mind sees one thing but the eye see another, and how you could use art as a technique to play with perception. And I loved it. And that actually, that was the class that I did this peanut butter and jelly piece in that we have here, and this was sort of my college highlight piece where I really honed the technique of realism with just the craftsmanship of colored pencil and marker and gouache, and it all kind of came together.
Oh, all of those three?
Yeah, marker,
you
color,
used
pencil, and gouache.
to make PB&J.
Yep.
I love that piece.
Yeah.
And to me, it's not just peanut butter and jelly, and I said this to you, it comes across as an abstract.
Yeah.
If you're coming into a room and that's the far end, then you might think, oh, that's interesting, what is that? Don't you think, or not?
I mean, it's always resonated with people. It always has.
Always.
It's been a piece that just,
I bet.
mean, we had, one of the other great things about art school was there was multiple buildings all over campus, but every single wall in the buildings became an art gallery, for student and teachers' work or visiting artists. There was just, everywhere you looked, there was art, and everywhere it looked, it showed you other people's expressions, and I loved it. I was in a constant reflection of creativity.
Okay, so you went to art school, and then apparently you did some other things after that, and you decided that you really wanted to be an artist.
Yeah. So I did. I had a few intern jobs afterwards. I worked at a video game company, and again, I'm still friends with all those people, and it really helped. I would call myself I'm a bit of a Renaissance man. I do art and design as well, and the jobs afterwards, I went to school from 96 to 2000, and in those 4 years, my freshman year, we had one classroom for computers, or like a computer lab, and by the time I graduated, we had a whole building dedicated to computers.
That's wild.
So in those 4 years,
Right.
I was an illustration major, and illustration, it didn't die, but it really got shifted, everything went digital in those years. And so my job afterwards just helped prime me for that, helped me find another creative tool. I see graphic design as another artistic tool, medium making.
But you don't always use the computer to make your art, right?
I do a lot of manual things, a lot of traditional mediums, and I'll even do some mixed medias now, where I'll draw things, bring them in, merge them in the computer. So I'm a bit of a Renaissance man and mixed media.
And what are the different media that you might use?
I do a lot of pen and ink still. I do a lot of marker. I do a lot of colored pencil. I do a lot of watercolor and gouache, acrylic. I don't do as much oil. Just because it dries so long and it's such a mess.
I know, it's a pain in the neck.
Yeah. And then I do a lot of digital now, but I play with it because it's really forgiving. It's a forgiving medium that allows you to, edit things and tweak colors and get it to more of a precise, crisp way. But when my soul or subconscious wants to be messy and just explore, I always go handmade medium.
I understand.
Yeah.
Completely.
So my control freak goes design, and my inner child playful goes traditional mediums.
That's good.
Yeah.
Got your inner child still working. So many people don't.
Yeah.
You became a freelance artist, essentially.
Yep.
And let's bring the Dalai Lama in now.
Sure.
Okay?
Okay, great.
Tell us what that experience
Well, the Dalai Lama was probably so far it's been a career highlight. I had a friend who was producing his 80th birthday, and he went around in different countries, but when he came to the United States, he was in Southern California, outside of Los Angeles, and she was producing the event, and it was in the NHL team, the Ducks, like their stadium, and so it was in a big, giant, arena, and she asked me to do a portrait of him. And I think she thought I was going to do just a simple watercolor sketch or something, but I realized this is the Dalai Lama. And so I had a few things come up. I had this thought of does the Dalai Lama even want a portrait of himself? He's a very humble, compassionate man, very, egoless in many ways. But if I was going to do a portrait, what would I do? And I sort of sat and contemplated and meditated on it, and I came up with this vision of I wanted to do a portrait of his prayer for the world, his activism. And so the portrait consists of all sort of the world religions and sort of the storytelling mythology of Buddhism, as well as a portrait of him. And it's a real narrative. And I got to give it to him. I got to hand it to him. And it was such a wonderful experience because he really embodies compassion and kindness. And he would describe himself as a Buddhist, but he's not trying to sway people into Buddhism. He's like saying, this is what I found works, and kindness and compassion works, and that's what I'm promoting, And Buddhism is simply a structure or a vessel for those messages to come through. And I met him for, it was really probably less than 10 seconds, but he gives you his everything. He was fully there and fully present, and he's a little boy and a grandfather and a Buddha all mixed in one.
He was fully there. That's good.
He was fully there.
If we could be fully there every second for anybody who we're with, what a wonderful world.
Yeah, it left a impression on me for sure.
I'm sure.
Yeah, and as someone who, I've had the benefit my whole life of having fantastic teachers, and watching him teach by just who he was. He really embodies that. He
does. I agree. All right, now, you have created a book.
I have.
Want to talk about your book?
I would love to. Okay, so this is a book called The Keepers of Colors, and it was published by Simon & Schuster. And the book it's probably similar to The Artist's Way, I would say, the closest, which a lot of other artists do know. It's a workbook and journaling book that guides you into your own inner world, where your imagination and creativity flourish. And there's this little character whose name is Color, and he he basically says to you in the very beginning, he says, you know, right here you meet him. He says, "Hi, I'm Color. You may not remember me, but I've known you your whole life. You see, I live inside of you. You could say I'm a pigment of your imagination."
Very good.
And then he says, I made a terrible mistake. I made a huge mistake. You promise you won't be mad? Okay, here goes. I lost your dream, your vision, your calling, your mission in life, which you knew somehow, some way you were supposed to be doing. I was supposed to be watching over, but I got caught up in the busyness and the drama of your life, and when I looked back up, it was gone. The good news is, it's still inside of you. All we have to do is go looking for it. And that's the prompt where he guides you through finding it, and you meet all of these.
Now, is this a book with assignments in it or suggestions
Completely.
for? Okay.
It has all these exercises, and there's coloring pages,
Right.
and you meet what I'm calling the keepers, which are characters, archetypal allies that help you find things. So this is
Is it a bit of a story?
It's a myth in a workbook and a journaling prompt all in one.
Okay.
So here's all these exercises, right? So there's
All right.
prompts.
Well, I did
activities.
The Artist's Way once with a friend, and then I taught it with another artist at the Chaffee.
Yeah.
And so I know what you mean, exploring who you are and trying to find out what your path is.
Exactly. And so this is a guide to do that. You know,
Yes.
the book is both
But a completely different format
completely different format.
from The Artist's Way, which is words.
Which is mostly words and all black and white. And I wanted to do it in color because
Right.
I've always loved color. So there's journaling, you know, there's prompts for journaling exercises as well as creative ones. There's a turtle here, and this is a beautiful little shell that you have to do. And so yeah, it really guides you through different aspects of the journey and places where you have to bump up against your own doubts and obstacles, and you know, shadowy self. But then brings
The
you
dark side.
the dark side.
As
Wars,
George Lucas of
yeah.
Star Wars would have said.
Or any hero's journey. It's you know,
Okay,
it's called,
exactly.
It's called A Creative Hero's Journey into the
Okay.
World Within, by Jon Marro, written and illustrated with you. So
Okay.
you also
Yeah.
are. It's a collaborative effort. You know, it becomes unique through what you offer, the words and the illustrations. So
And this, some people might think, is just for somebody who might want to be an artist. Is that true?
no, it's for anybody. Anybody
That's what
who's
I thought.
navigating any life transition, from, you know, my contemplating my career, am I shifting educational things, am I moving in and out of a relationship, was there a death in the family, any transition, life transition, big or small, or just looking to reinstill your sense of awe and wonder, this
Yeah.
book will help you go there.
Right.
Yeah.
No, so this could be a book for any time. Well, when I did The Artist's Way with my friend, I don't know, I guess we were both kind of content with our lives, but we heard about the book and we thought, oh, that would be fun to do together.
Yeah.
Well, same thing here.
Same
I
thing
mean,
here.
you could be going through a life change, or you could be, you know, just in a rhythm, a routine, and find this an exciting book to read, to do,
Yeah.
to follow, to.
Exactly. You could do that with others. I'm actually working currently on the creating like an online version of it as well, so people I can help guide them through that. But yes, find friends, find communities, have little groups together.
Right.
This would be fantastic to work with.
I think so too.
And I did it in a way where it's very childlike, in the same way learning to color a coloring book is. That way people don't feel like, oh, I could never do that, you know? So there is a inner childness about this. Because some people think that, oh, I could never be an artist. I don't believe that at all.
I don't either.
I believe that everyone has a form of
I do too.
creativity. Even an accountant or
Yes.
a computer technician or anything that seems so analog, this book will really just help you find your own innate creativity and wonder and imagination. So that's why I created it. And it helped me, art has helped me so much, I wanted to show how it could help anyone as well. And that's why I created it.
Sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, you have been an artist, and you will continue to be an artist. Do you have any notions about what might be coming up next, or is that an unfair question?
No. It's I'm working to create this book as more of a content, and actually maybe one day into a TV show or into some other media form.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wrote, and now I'm illustrating 2 children's books. Children have really been calling to me simply because I know they're the ones going to be inheriting the future.
See, I just had a little shiver when you said that, because I think children's books are so important.
Yeah.
And I have a collection of children's books because of the fact that there are yard sales and garage sales and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And Rutland Free Library has sale.
Yeah.
And I just have this enormous collection just because I love children's books.
Yeah.
And the illustrations in the children's books can spark in you feelings, ideas that you don't get if you're reading a novel for grown-ups, let's say.
Exactly. And I think that, I mean, my friend dubbed this book an inner children's book,
Yeah.
which I really love,
Yeah.
and I think that children's books
Yeah.
at their level can be. And it combines storytelling and wonder, along with, you know, beautiful pictures.
Yes.
And I do believe an image speaks 1,000 words. So, you know, art and image, and I was a trained illustrator, so art, we were trained to create text into image, and I believe that I'm just now kind of finding almost a full circle coming back to my dharma of being an illustrator and a
Yes.
storyteller.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And
So-
maybe you'll write something.
Well, I have.
And illustrate too.
Yeah, well, that's
You-
what
you
I'm.
don't-
That's what I'm doing with the books. I wrote them, and I'm
Oh,
illustrating them.
okay, you did write
Yeah.
them.
So somehow I found a writer in me as well, and it's. I'm
Sure. There's a
exploring
writer in
it.
everybody, I think.
Yeah, I
Just
agree.
like there's an artist in everybody.
Exactly.
Is there anything else you want to add?
Let's see. Vermont, growing up in Vermont, really instilled a few things in me. One was nature, the importance of nature.
Right.
And I always was playing in lakes and rivers and finding little creatures and frogs and toads, and that really instilled a sense of universality with me and the earth. And then also,
And that's perfect for this time of year.
Perfect for
Because if
this
you get
time of year.
outside, you're going to discover
Yes,
some
and-
little creatures or something.
look to nature.
Yeah,
That's what I say. I
that's
was
it.
say look to nature, and I think I'll always be, no matter how digital I go or no matter how you know, commercial I go, I'll always have an inner folk artist in me. You know, because of the Chaffee and because of places of the local arts. What was the art in the park? You know, all of those things really just showed me that people are always needing that the inside always wants out, and people are looking for ways to make that happen. And so I hope that I can, through my own art and creativity, can inspire others to do so.
I think you're doing so. You're doing so with this for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jon, for being here.
Pleasure.